Okay, you know what I'm talking about. You're scrolling through your feed, and there it is. The pout, the high cheekbones, the classic duck face. It's everywhere, right? It's become this universal symbol of the selfie. But what if there's more to it than just a silly pose? In this explainer, we are going to peel back the layers and ask a serious question. What is really going on here?
And boom, this quote just cuts right to the heart of it. It's a pretty wild idea, and it totally flips the script. Instead of just writing this off as someone being vain or arrogant, we're going to look at it as a kind of defense, a psychological shield for the digital world. So let's start right there, with the individual. What's going on inside someone's head that makes this kind of performance feel, necessary? Well, this slide gets at a huge shift in how we see ourselves. Normally, you just live your life from a first-person perspective. You feel things from the inside out. But social media kind of trains us to take on this third-person view, to constantly see our own bodies as objects, almost like there's an invisible camera on us at all times. And then what that leads to is this mild form of dissociation. It's a disconnect from your authentic self. You're not just living anymore, you're also managing your image, curating yourself like you're a product on a shelf. You become both the sculptor, carefully carving out the perfect pose, and the sculpture itself, put out there for everyone to judge. So here's the key. This pose, this perfectly curated image, it acts like armor. It creates a buffer. That way, if the photo gets a nasty comment, or maybe it just doesn't get enough likes, it's the pose that's being rejected. It's the mask, not the actual vulnerable person hiding behind it. It's a really clever survival strategy when you think about it. But why do we even need this armor in the first place? Well, this kind of behavior doesn't just happen in a vacuum. Nope. It's being fueled by this incredibly powerful system, a machine that keeps us coming back for more. And this right here shows the vicious cycle perfectly. It starts with that feeling of insecurity. So you post a carefully crafted photo, you put on the armor. Then the likes roll in and you get a nice little hit of dopamine. But here's the twist. Your brain knows deep down that the praise wasn't for the real you. It was for the mask. So that gap between your performed self and your true self just gets wider. And the insecurity, it actually gets worse. This whole loop is powered by a few key forces. First, you've got the dopamine economy. Social media platforms literally reward us with these little chemical hits of pleasure for trading in our authenticity. Then that reward system fuels what's called mimetic desire. We're social animals. We see what gets likes, what gets rewarded, and we copy it. It's why trends explode. And all of this leads to the filter effect, which is truly bizarre. It's where the digital simulation, the filter, becomes the goal, and people start trying to make their actual real-life faces match the digital ideal. Now, you might think this is all just online drama, but it's not. This whole mindset of performing for validation, it leaks out. It seeps into every corner of our lives, including a really important one, the classroom. I mean, think about it. The duck face for likes is basically the same thing as the school face for grades. They are two sides of the same coin. Both are just performances designed to get external validation. The student who crams a bunch of facts just to ace a test, with no real interest or deep understanding, they're doing the exact same thing as the person posting the selfie. They're performing, not learning. And here's the real damage. If a student is just putting on a show of learning, if they're dissociated, then there's nobody home to actually absorb the information. You can't build real knowledge if the foundation isn't there. The information just bounces right off the armor. But here's the thing. This experience of being a digital performer, it isn't the same for everyone. The system creates this really sharp divide between the people who are rewarded for playing the game and those who feel like they can't even get on the field. So on one side, you have the hyper-visible, the people who are trapped by the constant need to perform beauty. Their biggest fear is being unmasked, being seen as a fraud. But on the other side, you have the invisible, people who feel totally exiled because they don't fit that narrow beauty standard. Their fear isn't being unmasked, it's that in the eyes of the system, they don't even exist. So often they cope by retreating completely into their own minds. Seeing this trap, this split between the visible and the invisible, you have to ask, is there a better way? And one really powerful idea is body neutrality. Now, this is different from body positivity, which can sometimes feel like just another performance you have to put on. Neutrality shifts the whole focus. It's about appreciating your body for what it can do, not what it looks like. It's an instrument, not an ornament. So it's not about forcing yourself to love how your legs look. It's about being grateful that they can carry you on a walk.
And of course, this pressure to perform isn't just a female thing. Not at all. Men face a parallel version of this. So let's compare the female duck face to the male stone face. While the duck face is often about being liked, being desired, the stone face, the tense jaw, the hunter eyes, that's about being respected or maybe even feared. The strategy isn't to be approachable, it's to project dominance and emotional control. This male armor is built from a few key things. You've got bigorexia, this obsession with building the body into a literal fortress. You've got emotional amputation, this idea that vulnerability is weakness, so you have to cut it off. But look, at the end of the day, it's the exact same core problem: immense pressure to perform an identity, in this case strength, instead of just being yourself. So after going through all these different masks and all this armor, what does it all mean? Let's try to bring it all home. Ultimately, this isn't really about selfies. It's not about the gym. The core battle for so many of us, whether we realize it or not, is this constant tug of war between the carefully curated person we show the world and the authentic, messy, complicated person who actually lives inside. And that leaves us with one last question to chew on. In a world that is constantly begging us to perform, to curate, to build an avatar, who are you, really, when you finally turn the screen off?